Life with Tara, Sundays, 1 p.m. on Women Radio 91.7.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. Hello, and welcome to another insightful and honest edition of Life with Tara, your go-to show for real talk, deep insights, and honest conversations about the things that truly matter. I'm Tara Eshida, and every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. on this station, we dive into the heart of life's experiences, love, friendship, career, self growth, and everything in between. Whether it's navigating relationships, embracing change, or finding purpose, we keep it real, relatable, and refreshing. So grab a seat, turn up the volume, and let's explore life together because every story matters and every lesson counts. Today is Mothering Sunday, and I want to say big happy Mothering Sunday, Mother's Day to all the beautiful women that are listening to me today. Mothering Sunday is a day set aside to celebrate mothers, the women who carried us, who raised us, who pray for us, who worry about us, and sometimes sacrifice more than they may ever fully understand. And that's why I played Sweet Mother by Nico Baga today as I started this topic and this conversation because we need to celebrate women. We need to celebrate mothers. And someone asked, it was a man, of course, that how many Mother's Day do we have? And I've said to them severally, we can't have enough. We can't have enough Mother's Day. If every day was Mother's Day, it would be worth it. Today's conversation is not just about flowers, gifts, and social media posts. Today, we will talk about the real story of motherhood, the joy, the pride, the sacrifices, the quiet worries, and sometimes the heartbreak. I will also celebrate something very important because it's not every woman who mothers that gives birth. Some women mother through care, wisdom, protection, and guidance. There are many women who have never given birth but have mothered generations through mentoring, teaching, caring, loving, and guiding. And today we're celebrating every single one of us: biological mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, foster mothers, aunties who stepped in, teachers who shaped us, mentors who guided us. Because sometimes the woman who raised us, who shaped us, is not the woman who gave birth to us, but the woman that stayed. So today, I'm going to leave you with some questions. And when we open the phone lines, I'll expect you to please call in or send us messages. And the first question I'll be asking is, was there a woman who mothered you, even though she did not give birth to you? So there's, like I said earlier, there's so many women stepping into the roles of mothers for children that they did not give birth to. So if there's anyone like that and you want to give them a shout out today on today's program, please dial our numbers at 07000 and 09155 The toll free number is 0801235917 and you could text or WhatsApp us on 08155917. Now, let me start today with a small story that encapsulates what motherhood is all about and how we really do understand the sacrifices of our mothers. A young woman once said that growing up, she thought her mother worried too much. Her mother would constantly call her and ask, "Have you eaten? Where are you? When will you be home?" As a teenager, she found it irritating. She thought her mother was simply too overprotective and dramatic. And then years passed, and she became a mother herself. One night, a little child had a fever. Nothing life-threatening, just a mild fever. But she couldn't sleep that night. She kept checking the child's temperature, touching the child's forehead, listening to the child breathe, and suddenly it hit her. All those years, her mother asked, "Have you eaten?" were never about food. They were about love disguised as worry. And that's one of the quiet truths about motherhood. Many things our mother did that once annoyed us, that still annoys us, becomes the very things we understand only after life has matured us. I always say that until one becomes a mother themselves or as takes charge of a child, you never will understand the sacrifices that your mother has made for you. And for those that are saying, how many mother days do we have? Let me just give us a short history of how Mothering Sunday came about. And it's basically it came from the Anglican Church. And it's so every third Sunday of the month of March is Mothering Sunday. So this is the English version. We're still going to have the American version, and that's why we celebrate two Mothers Day, at least in Nigeria. We mix the two together. And ordinarily, it was not about celebrating mothers. People will return to their mother church, the church where they were baptized, on the fourth Sunday of Lent, which is the third third Sunday of March. And then because many young people worked as servants far away from their homes, Mothering Sunday was one of the few days they were allowed to visit home to take time off, especially those that worked as maids, house helps, butlers, and farmers and stuff like that. So naturally, when they took time off, they went home to visit their mothers. And over time, the day gradually evolved into a celebration of mothers everywhere. And in Africa, in Nigeria, though honoring mothers has always been deeply embedded in our culture, I can think of so many proverbs, and so many sayings that venerate motherhood. One, Orishabi Yausi, that means there's no God, deity like a mother, or Iyani Wura, which is mother is gold. So it tells you about the deep reverence that we've had for our mothers. I remember if they tell you that your mother is looking for you, or your mother has something, and she tells you something and you don't do it, that fear that my mom, she would tell me, it wasn't, nobody could shake whatever your mother told you. Mother was God. Mother was to be respected above anything. If you were erring and your mother came into the picture, then you know that you'll have to follow whatever she says. But sadly, today, it's not like that. But motherhood is one of the most powerful forces in human nature. Mothers are often the first teachers. And that's why I said we should celebrate mothers every single day. It's not enough because there's a saying in English that he who rocks the cradle shapes the world, and the mothers are the ones that rock the cradle. We're the first teachers, the ones who teach us how to speak. They tell us manners, stop, thank you, please. Those are the jobs of the mothers. Teach us how to love, how to share things with our siblings, how to connect and relate with other people in the home. I remember something they say, it's also the mothers that tell us who our fathers are. Because it's the mother that knows who the father is, and so she tells us how to respect our fathers, teaches us how to behave, teaches us the right from wrong, long before we go to school, long before society tells us, long before the governments influence us. Our mothers do. And many mothers do this carrying enormous burdens that we do not even know. They do it even when they're sick. They do it when they're not happy. They do it when they're out of jobs. They do it when they're worried. And they're often caregivers. We have children, we go back to our mothers and dump our kids with them. They come for Omungo and leave their lives behind and, tend to us. They're counselors, people that we can run to and say, oh, mommy, this and this and this is what's wrong with me. And it doesn't even, it affects both genders. Both sons and daughters will run to the mothers and say, this is what I want to do. Please counsel me. They're financial supporters. Their mother would be the one that will bring out her last kobo, to support your dream. Even when you're an adult, to support your passion. She would tell everybody, all her friends, about your latest business venture. And they're emotional anchors. There's safe places for us when the world has, finished us and made us feel so bad. We can always trust in the mothers, to comfort us. I'm giving us the reasons why mothers should be celebrated every single day. And sometimes they do all this alone. They raise children while grieving sometimes. Sometimes they're single mothers because of the circumstances of their lives. Sometimes it's because the man has run away. Sometimes it's because the man has died. Sometimes it's because the man has left, and they raise children while sacrificing their own dreams. Which is why celebrating mothers is not just sentimental. It's acknowledging invisible labor. Care, the care in its entirety is being discussed widely now. And for years, mothers did the work of care without any acknowledgement whatsoever. Most times financially, no, because it was just assumed that yes, she should be able to take care of the home and take care of her own work or business or whatever. And so it was just, yes, it was, yeah, she's done something, but it's what she ought to do. It's what she is naturally endowed for and gifted for. And a lot of times, especially the society, would acknowledge it, yes, by saying thank you, but would not acknowledge it in financial measures. But today we want to say that whether financially, whether emotionally, in every way, mothers ought to be celebrated. Mothers ought to be acknowledged. Mothers ought to be financially rewarded for the work that they do. Motherhood requires emotional resilience that is rarely spoken about, and it is one of the most demanding responsibilities in life. Like I said earlier, many mothers perform this role quietly and without recognition. Think about it. How many mothers wake up at 5 a.m. or 4 self every morning to prepare children for school? And not only will they wake up to prepare the children for school, they will feed them before they go. They will prepare their lunch packs before they go. They would give the instructions to the maid at home if they have one, as to what to do. They go to work then. or their businesses or wherever, they still come back home after work to cook, to supervise homework, and listen to their children's many, many problems, like who beat them up in school, who took their lunch, you know. Some mothers sell food, fabrics, anything or goods in the market under the hot sun, not because they enjoy it, but because they want their children to have opportunities they've never had. Motherhood is often sacrificed without applause, and that's why a day like this, like today, matters a lot. I always say something. I say, if a man loses his job, most times he would look for another job, but he wants to look for a job that is either commensurate to the job that he lost or higher than the job that he lost. If a woman loses her job and she has children and she can't find the job commensurate to the job that she lost, or even one higher than the one she lost, she's going to go looking for whatever she can get to feed her kids. So while the man will say, no, I can't do this job, or I'm too qualified for this job, the woman would pick up the pot and whatever and go to the roadside and go and start frying akara and start to hawk something so that she can make ends meet for our children. Why shouldn't she be celebrated every day, every second, because of the sacrifices that she's made? Not thinking of herself, not thinking of her health, not thinking of anything, putting herself last. When you have kids, you hardly buy stuff for yourself when they're growing up. You say, oh, I can always manage this. But this child, the shoes grow fast. They outgrow their shoes, their clothes so fast. They have their needs. They must go to school and have a new school bag every session. And she doesn't think about the things that she needs. She doesn't realize she doesn't acknowledge to herself that her underwear self needs to be changed. All she thinks about is her kids. Now, so we've talked about why you should think about your mother today, and that's if she's alive, please go do something good for her. And if she's not alive, say a prayer for her and be the woman. Make sure that you are the man or the woman that she's always sacrificed for you to be. Now, there are joys and there's sorrows in motherhood, and I'm going to talk about that now. Despite the sacrifices, motherhood brings deep joy. There's nothing like seeing that child just smile at you. There's the joy of holding your baby in your hands for the very first time. The joy of hearing your child say, Mommy. There's so many times men and fathers and mothers are always fighting over who would the child call first. And I always said to my husband, because my children called daddy first. But I told him, I said, one day they will always call mommy. They will call mommy, and the joy of hearing your child say mommy, the joy of you being referred to as Mama Lagbaja, the joy of watching them taking their first steps, seeing them succeed in life. And many times that joy is not wealth or success. It's just hearing your child being described as a good person, seeing your child grow with the manners that you've inculcated in them, seeing your child become a responsible person in the society. Because really, 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 what we want as mothers, if we must tell ourselves the truth, is not just only fame for our children, but we want them to be good people. We want them to be responsible adults. We want them in turn to bring up responsible children in the societies. So if you're a mother today and you're listening, our phone lines will be open now, 07000 917 and 09155 Our toll-free number is 0800 1235 917. Please do call in and tell us what's been your greatest joy in motherhood. And if you are the child of somebody, of course, every one of us is the child of somebody, you could call to appreciate that which your mother has done for you and to thank her if she's still alive, to say a shout out to your mom for being the best mother in the world. Like everybody says, their mom is the best mother. Okay, so we have someone on the line. Thank you so much for calling. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Nana.
Nana.
Always call me Kududu.
Okay, thank you. Could you just reduce the volume of your radio so that we don't have that echo?
Yeah. I'm outside.
Okay, so do you want to shout out to your mom and tell her what's
Yeah, shout out to my mom.
Okay.
I say, God bless her.
Amen.
God bless my wife.
Amen.
That give me 3 kids.
Oh.
She's a mother.
Yes. Thank you so much for shouting out. Yeah. And for acknowledging your mother, and not only your mother, but your wife. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Mothers are great. Thank you, Nana, for calling in. Thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. And then so I've spoke. Thank you so much for calling in. And that's what makes people happy. Mothers, we don't need much. Just an acknowledgement of the sacrifices that you've made is so heartwarming, that all that one has poured into, your children has come out well. And even if it hasn't come out so well as much as we think, but that to say, oh, you have a part in the person that I've become today. That's what most mothers need, just the good and welfare of their children. Now, I talked about the joys of motherhood. I would now talk about the sorrows of motherhood, because at Life with Tara, we talk about the things that people don't talk about. And if we're going to celebrate mothers, we're going to celebrate the totality of everything that makes mothers mothers. So there are loads and loads of joyful moments as a mother. Seeing your child graduate from primary school, from secondary school, from university, seeing your child get married, see your child have children, see your child doing well in their business, So I remember the clip of was it the IGP? Yes, I think it was the Inspector General of Police, this current one, and he's saluting his mother. I could just imagine the pride, the joy in her heart, seeing him reach the pinnacle of his profession. And that's what the joy of motherhood is all about, that little me had a significant contribution in the life of this big person that everyone is celebrating. Now, the sorrows. Motherhood carries sorrows. A lot of mothers struggle with infertility. Not having a child, like I said, doesn't make you less of a woman or not a mother. Some mothers lose children, and some of them are going to be looking at today and saying, wow, I don't want to remember today. There's nothing good about today because I've lost a child. Some others deal with children who make painful life choices. Every bandit we see, every drug addict we see, every thief that we see, everybody that, has made a wrong choice in their life as a mother. And sometimes mothers carry guilt that does not belong to them, because sometimes you can raise a child with love. You can raise them with discipline. You can raise them with prayer, and they would still make decisions that do not reflect your values, do not reflect your all that you have put into them. So motherhood teaches one painful truth. You can guide a child, but you cannot live their lives for them. And I want to talk specifically to that mother who's lost a child and who is saying, what's good about motherhood? I've not sat in your shoes, at least for a while, and may not know your pain. But I want to say that you had that child for some years. Look onto the years that you had the child and be grateful that that child came through you. And in your own way, you imparted all that you had, the love that you have, and the things, your skills, your talents, everything that you had, you gave to that child. And just be happy in that. At least, you had a child, So going from the sorrows of motherhood, and there are plenty. I just didn't have time, to sit down and really talk about the disappointment that women feel when their children do not encapsulate or become all that they've prayed, imagined, and desired them to have. I'll talk about the stages of motherhood and the fact that it changes for every stage of the child. So we change too as our children grow. Motherhood and the things that are expected of us change as our children grow. But a lot of times we mothers fail to maybe understand it, fail to realize it. And a lot of times we think that, I'm talking to that 5-year-old while the child is a 45-year-old. Left to me, let me give you the stages and then I'll tell you which ones I prefer. Now, so there's the infancy stage. And with that comes sleepless nights, constant feeding, every cry feeling like it's urgent. And you are there when the child is so helpless, so dependent on you, that you are there all in all. And it gives a very heady feeling that, if this child does not see me, this child will not sleep. You're so joyful that a total human being is totally dependent on you. And then the child grows and starts to go to school and start to see their first independence. You tell them to do something and they say no, and they go back to do it, and you're wondering, and so that's when you start to teach the please, the thank you, the respect. And you see that the child has their own personality, has their own will, has a mind of their own, even though they're still tied to your strings. Then we have the preteen years. They begin to question everything. And before you say anything, my teacher said, and sometimes you're so upset and say, go and meet your teacher. But it's all part of growing up. And then you see that, okay, they won't take everything you say line, hook, and sinker. So you start to talk with them. You start to, explain more. It won't just be do what I said you should do, but then you start to give them the whys they should do it. You start to explain and rationalize, and sometimes even bargain and negotiate with them. Then the teenage years. Perhaps people say it's perhaps the most difficult stage. I don't know. It is difficult, but is it the most difficult? So we have a caller on the line. Thank you so much. Please tell us where you're calling from and what you want to do today.
Please, I'm the one that called back before.
Okay, yes, sir.
Please, Nana, call back.
Nana, okay.
I want to ask, what of those women that give birth and abandon their children and go? Are they going to still come back and say, I'm the mother of this, I'm the mother of that, celebrate me as a mother?
Why not? Thank you so much. I would answer that question by saying that there are different reasons why some mothers are not in the lives of their children. And I'll give the examples. I know one for sure where the mother, she married a man that was polygamous and she did not know. And when she found out that the man was polygamous, she left. The man did not want her to take her children with her. And so she left her children. I know of other situations where the man beat her out of the house and said, of course, had more money and everything, and said, oh, you can't have the children. The first one that I said, the child, and is always the case, whether it's the mother, whether it's the father, children will always go and look for the absent parent. And so she went to look for her mom. And the mother was so bitter, because I wish I never gave birth to you and whatever. But after a while, the mother realized that this wasn't going to bring her child close to her. She apologized, she made amends, and she started to behave. And today they have a beautiful relationship. So there are certain circumstances where a woman will leave a child. I'm not saying that some are not callous and leave children, but it is always rare. It's more rare for a woman to leave her child than for the man to walk away. And most times when you ask her, there's so many reasons why she did it. It's sometimes it's a decision that she has no option more to do. And when the amazing thing about being a parent is that a lot of times you don't understand the sacrifices, the reasons behind the things that your parents have done until you become a parent yourself, and then you start to understand. So for us, yes, a mother is a mother. If she might leave the children but not still keep in contact with them. I'm a family lawyer, so I know of mothers that are not allowed to see their children from their husband's home, but they'll go to the school. They will make sure that they have some contact, some line, with their children. They'll go and visit them in school. They will take food for them, maybe when they're in school. They will make sure that they have the numbers of the teachers to call so that they can call their children. There's so many ways. So sometimes it's not a hard and fast rule. A lot of women are faced with the options that they have to leave their children. Sometimes they don't have the money. The man has kicked them out, or they've left because it's an abusive situation, and they have to go. And they know that the children will be worse off if they go with them. So they leave their children and still try to maintain the ties. And definitely when the children are more grown, they always look for their parents and their mother or their father, and then the relationship can stabilize from there. So it's not there's no answer to that question. I hope you got my answers and was able to sift through and find something for yourself. As I was saying, the stage of the teenage years, perhaps the most difficult stage, because then the child seeks independence. And sometimes it's so difficult seeing that child that depended on you all this while now grow up and say, I can make my own decisions by myself. Now grow up and argue with you. You that you know what is the right thing, and says, oh, somebody on social media told them that what you said was not true. It can be very difficult. So, but it's not to shy away from this stage. It's to guide them while slowly allowing them space to grow. It's not to put them out because they're children, they're still teenagers. They really don't know left from right or right from wrong per se. But it's for us as mothers to guide them. And then when one day they become adults, young adults, they make their own choices. And we must learn the hardest lesson of motherhood: letting go without withdrawing our love. It's a very difficult place to be when, like I said, you've seen that child, tiny child, now grown and making their own decisions. But you cannot cripple the child. We would not want our children to stay with us all through their years. We must one day acknowledge the fact that they're grown enough to go off on their own, to make their decisions. And all we can do is to counsel, to advise, to guide when we know, and to pray. So, what's the greatest lesson your mother has taught you through all the stages of your life? 07000 and 09155 and 0800 are lines. So please call in and let us hear your experiences about the greatest lesson your mother taught you when we get back from this music break. I love that song. Celebrate sang for um and I can't remember the woman's name now, but she had no children but opened up an orphanage for children, and it was just to celebrate her and to tell her that even though she had no children of her own biologically, she was a mother indeed. And that's what we're talking about today. Things that mothers have done, things that celebrate the essence of motherhood. Now, things we can only understand about our mothers is what I'm going to as adults. And like I said earlier, when you become a mother, or yes, that's when you understand what your mother was going through all the time she was bringing you up. So I would like us to reflect today about the things that we wish we had written to our mothers, or the things that we wish we have done to our mothers, and not only reflect, but take time, to ensure that we do those things. What if our mothers are still here now? So there are many things about our mothers that we did not understand when we were children, but adulthood slowly reveals their meaning. As children, we think our mothers worry unnecessarily. But when we grow older, we realize something profound. A mother never stops carrying her child in her heart, even when the child becomes an adult. That is why a mother can call a 35-year-old and still ask, "Have you eaten?" It's not about food, it's about love. Many of us remember hearing the same advice repeatedly growing up. Choose your friends wisely. Be careful where you go. Think before you act. As children, it sounded like nagging. Why, I've heard you. Why are you saying it again, over and over again? But as adults, we realize it was wisdom trying to protect us from pain. Many of us look back and realize something surprisingly, that the rules our mothers enforced were not punishment, they were protection. The curfews, the insistence on education, at least you will go to school. I remember someone saying he was a very accomplished man, and he said, very brilliant too. Yes, it was on his 50th birthday. And his sister came out, his elder sister came out and said, one thing about him, he's written books, he's an author, very accomplished and professional man. And said he hated going to school, but their mom insisted, this one, you will go to school. It wasn't that he wasn't brilliant, but he just hated that discipline of school. And so we can look back and see when our parents, our mothers insisted on education, the discipline, those things often saved us from mistakes we didn't even know we were about to make. When we were young, we did not always notice the sacrifices, the new clothes she didn't buy, the things she went without, the extra work she did. As adults, we begin to understand something deeply humbling. Sometimes our mothers carried burdens we never even saw. And in many homes, mothers pray constantly for their children. A lot of times we wondered why. Why is this prayer all the time prayer? But adulthood reveals something powerful. Prayer was the one place mothers could place their children beyond their own control, because there are many things a mother can control, but there are many things also that she cannot control. And so when she knows she can't control this one, she just puts you straight to God and prayer. Okay, so I like to say before I close, the letters that, because I made some research and I found out that there's so many things that as adults we wish we had said, we wish we had written, we wish we had spoken, we wish we had done for our mothers. Let's take a moment to reflect on something powerful. And maybe we might write a letter or say to our mother today at the end of this program, "Dear mom, When I was young, I thought you worried too much. I thought you were too strict. I thought you didn't understand me. I've heard that word so many times, and I thought that word too, that my mother never understood me. And my children have told me too, Mommy, you don't understand. But now that life has matured me, I see things differently. I see the sacrifices I never noticed, the sleepless nights, the quiet prayers. And let us go back to tell our moms, thank you for loving us, even when we did not fully understand our love. Thank her, thank her, thank her, thank her every day. And if you could go back in time for those that have lost their moms, you know, thank them too, you know. We shouldn't wait for our mothers to die before we say the things that matter. We shouldn't wait for them not to be able to hear us speak before we say we love them and we appreciate the things that they've done for us. We shouldn't wait until it's too late to acknowledge their sacrifices. Please, if your mother is still alive today, do something, say something to make her know that you appreciate the sacrifices that she's made. And before we close today's program, I want to say something to every mother listening. Motherhood is not a perfect journey. There will be times when you feel proud, like I talked about the joys of motherhood. And there will be days when you feel you failed, like the sorrows of motherhood. But motherhood is not measured by perfection. It's measured by love, it's measured by sacrifice and consistency. Many mothers are giving their very best with the strength they had, and that matters. So far you're doing the best you can to do. That's all that matters. God isn't going to judge you by the things that you don't have, but He's going to judge you by the things that you do have and the things that you can do. And so once you're doing that, that's all that matters. And my prayer for every mother listening today is that you'll be strengthened, that the love that you've poured into your children will return to you in kindness. As the Yoruba say, Omo alaanu, you'll have children that would appreciate you and return to you the love that you've sown in their lives. May your worries turn into peace. May your sacrifices bear fruit. May your children grow into people who bring light into the world. And may every woman who has mothered another life through love, wisdom, or kindness be blessed for the difference she has made. Happy Mothering Sunday, everyone. And remember, this has been Life with Tara. And we'll meet again next week, Sunday at 1 p.m. on another edition of Life with Tara in the month of March, talking about women and all that pertains to this lovely, lovely gender. Have a good week. And